Sorry, I had to remove the headphone mic. How's it going, guys? Music fan here. How you guys doing? Here in my room, it is, if I can see the time, 3:19. It's just going to be a just a very quick, my initial thoughts, a quick video on the new Kendrick Lamar album called Damn. Was released just yesterday, just out of the blue, out of nowhere. I mean, there was previously the Hard Part 4, which was just an awesome track that he released, and then comes this album. And I'm just gonna. This is not a review because I'm not gonna talk about it in length, but it's gonna be a very short, quick initial thought of what I thought of the record. Yeah, Kendrick Lamar. I haven't talked about him all that much actually. Although I have heard some of Section 80, and I'm going to be, this is going to be really bad for me, but I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I have not heard most of Good Kid, Mad City. Yeah, I know. I'm a terrible, awful reviewer. I really am. But I did hear the Drinking Pools track, which I thought was pretty awesome, pretty cool, like a pretty awesome spin subject of drinking in that kind of song. But that's for that review. Anyways, and for me, To Pimp A Butterfly, I don't listen to too much hip hop. I mean, I have heard some of the classics, you know, like from Nas, Biggie, Tupac, you know, Public Enemy, and even the Fugees, for instance. But for me, To Pimp a Butterfly, and I may talk about it more when I actually get into a Kendrick Lamar discography review, maybe sometime this year or sometime in summer. I don't know how it's going to work out because my schedule's so busy now. But anyways, To Pimp a Butterfly is quintessentially, for me, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Lamar album ever, across the board. I mean, all of you've heard that record before. I don't need to go into the details. I will go into it when I eventually get to reviewing it. But To Pimp a Butterfly is just immaculate. It's just an immaculate record. So going from that particular album, I kept thinking of like, what is there left possibly for Kendrick Lamar to do? I mean, he has already made this fantastic masterpiece of an album, To Pimp a Butterfly, you know, and I'm thinking, you know, where's there's left to go, what's left to say, and what's left to do. Well, this song particularly comes out. Well, firstly, the Hard Part 4 came out, and I heard the entire track, and I thought it was a lot more fiercer. You know, Kendrick Lamar just dropping bombs left and right, even to President Trump. And now we get this record, and I know that there's a whole, right now, in Saturday, on the, if I can check the date again, sorry, 15th of April of this Easter weekend. This was released yesterday. Yesterday was Good Friday, and again, I don't know entirely off the top of my head of the whole theory. I'm gonna leave links to the description down below, to other videos that explains this a lot more clearly, more concisely than I can. But I do know about this whole conspiracy theory that's going on with the release of this album, the coincidence that it was released on Good Friday, and you know, 3 days later, tomorrow's gonna be Easter, and all that stuff. If you follow the Christian religion, and you know everything. But as to my particular thoughts on this album, I have to say, like, I mean, I was initially skeptical. I was a little concerned of how Lamar was going to do this, but immediately not immediately, because there's the first track, Blood, for instance, you know, like, is like, again, and again, I'm going to go more in depth when I actually get into an actual review, but this album, if I were to say a Pimp a Butterfly was my favorite Kendrick Lamar album. This album, I would say either it comes at a very close third or it comes at a close second. I know I am extremely biased because I didn't hear much of Good Kid, Mad City, and I know, like, you have to hear Good Kid, Mad City. You know, I know, I get it. It's just I was not really into Lamar that much, or wasn't enticed that much, that apart from the single from that album, I didn't really develop the interest of hearing it. Not that I thought it was bad or anything. You know, I know millions of other reviewers have talked about that album being one of the best hip-hop rap albums in recent memory, and I believe that. It's just that I haven't really developed the interest to really sit down and listen to it in full. I will at some point. I will listen to it, considering my announcement now. But in terms of like a rating, this is an album that is just straight up Kendrick's most fiery, most straight to the point, most, you know, again, dropping bombs left and right, and at the same time, it scales back down on the theatrics, because Pimp a Butterfly was just so, it wasn't an opera per se, or hip-hop opera thing or anything, but To Pimp a Butterfly was just so elaborate, and it was just, everything about that record from every single track was just so put together. It just had this finesse of just, you know, this epic quality to all the songs off this record. With this album, I feel it's similar, but it just kind of scales all that huge elaborateness back in favor of something a little bit more straight to the point, a little bit more visceral, you know, more straight in your face. And the first single from this album, Humble, explains that a lot more clearly, and it's more evocative of that. Like, I mean, that I love that track. It's just Kendrick just being just straight up to the point, taking no prisoners at all, and just him just being on top of the throne per se, and just kind of telling all the other rappers, you know, hey, you know, like, sit down and be humble. I'm going to school you right now. And I know that's not the best impression. I know I suck when it comes to hip hop, you know, sorry, but I will acknowledge Kendrick's just big, giant effort in this track. Another track that's highlighted for me is DNA. That song, I don't know what to say to that song. I mean, it's just so multifaceted without being super complex like the rest of this album. DNA, it's like my favorite one. I think the first time I heard it over and over and over again the first time this album dropped. And it's one of my favorites, if not maybe my favorite song off the whole album. Like, the production of that song creates this catchy quality with the beat, the change up and everything, and that second section in the song where he just goes just killing every single bar that he spits in that verse. It's awesome. It's just fire all the way through. And, you know, I mean, again, I'll go more in depth, but and my third favorite happens to be Triple X featuring U2. Big surprise. I did particularly know that they were going to collaborate, because there was I follow a U2 forum called @U2. I've been following them for years, and then in my Facebook newsfeed there appeared a piece of information that stated that U2 was going to collaborate with Lamar. And initially I was kind of like, oh, this is going to be interesting. I wonder how this is going to happen. And this is another favorite track for me, mainly because, like, the different sections in this song, you know, the almost nearly autobiographical portion of the first half, and then the second half comes the band. It's just Edge playing his piano and Larry with the drums, Adam with the bass, and Bono's vocals, you know, and then Lamar raps about America in his verse in the song. It's like, it's so cool. Like, you know, it's nothing that I expected, but it's not something that I am disappointed in entirely. I mean, it's a really great quality track, and Kendrick again does his fantastic effort in each in each verse that he spits in all the bars of that track. Like the rest of this album, I mean. In any case, this album so far for me has just been amazing, like just absolutely brilliant from the first track all the way to the last. You know, again, I'll go in more in depth with it when I get into an actual album review sometime in the next couple of weeks, granted if I get time. But so far, I'm loving the heck out of this album. Like, I mean, this, like, Kendrick really brings in like his fury, his ferociousness, and yet he stays potent and stays poetic and lyrically intimate throughout, you know. And so, yeah, that's all I have to say. Comment section is down below. Tell me what you think. Do you love this album? Do you hate it? Why? This was just my initial thoughts on this record, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Damn, Kendrick Lamar. See you guys next time.